And maybe some of this is because I've had some stress about some of these situations lately, and because I've seen a lot of static online, because I think people had in their head that Trump was going to be the Messiah or something, and he didn't turn out to be the second coming that they thought he was going to be.
Right, now that things aren't perfect.
Yeah, so
or as quickly as they'd like.
Yeah, so they're upset.
It's getting messy.
Yeah, so I want to kind of pull. We've talked about all the topics I'm about to talk about. We've talked about them in some in some cases. Entire episodes have been dedicated to them. So I'll pull little pieces out of stuff and add some new stuff, and really kind of do what I hope to do is give you what I believe to be a rough, kind of vague ebb and flow of history over the next 5, maybe up to 10 years. And I think that that's really important, because I think that there's at least one large event coming that is going to catch you flat-footed if you're not ready for it. And but if you are ready for it and you know what's coming, then it will hit. You won't panic. You'll be fine. We'll come out the other end of it, and you'll be in a much better position than the people that were not prepared for it to occur.
Podcasting.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
But mostly young gentlemen. Really.
Welcome. Actually, no ladies allowed. Turn it off. You're listening to this, your boyfriend, you're in the car, your boyfriend's driving, going, "Oh, babe, listen, I got these guys you got to hear. They said something funny. His girlfriend, his wife can't remember anything." You have to turn it off now. No ladies allowed. It's over. Welcome back to Work Hard. We've said it a million times, and I'll say it again. Greatest show on earth, baby. This is, look at this. You see this? I don't think we've ever acknowledged this.
Yeah, first episode, the first video episode.
This is a painting by a gentleman named John Martin.
Not to that detail.
Called The Day of His Wrath. Something like that. The Day of His Wrath, the last day of His wrath. I don't know.
Do you want me to fact check that?
You can. I'm pretty positive it's just called The Day of His Wrath. But this is my favorite painting of all time. This is the painting that I have in the background of my phone, my computer. I obviously have this big cutout of it. It's everywhere in my life. It's beautiful. It's very cosmic and impending and full of doom. And that is what. But there's full of doom. But as you can see, the light is winning. We've got the white stone, black stone. They're fighting. The evils of hell are being buried underneath the beauty of the new earth. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Substack and can't see this, it is called The Great Day of His Wrath by John Martin. Yes, The Great Day of His Wrath by John Martin.
Painted between the years of 1851 and 1853.
Yes.
Not an overnight job.
No, surely not. No.
Oil on canvas.
It is being held currently in a museum in London, I believe, the original museum in London, and it officially has the price of actually priceless.
Oh, okay, really?
There is no price that you could offer to buy it from anyone. Okay. It is an object beyond the reasonable.
Is it owned by the government or the church?
No, it's owned by a family.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yes. It's owned by a trust that the family started. But anyways.
Oh, it's part of 3 different works together.
Yes.
That form a triptych?
I don't know what a triptych is.
I don't know.
Not an art guy.
TRIPTYCH. A triptych, I'm going to guess. And that triptych is called The Last Judgment. So
yes.
It's a trilogy of paintings.
And all 3 of those paintings are crazy. Insane.
That's cool.
if ever you want to capture the feeling that I get in my mind all the time, just existing, if you want to understand me a little bit better, stay up like day or two, or like pull an all-nighter, and then at like 4 a.m. just before the sun comes up, figure out a way to get this in as big of a screen as you possibly can right in front of you, and stare at it until you feel like you're about to panic. That's
Ethan's regular waking experience.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
A little glimpse into Ethan's terrifying mind.
So that's what I want you to feel when you're listening to Work Hard, when you're consuming some of Hyper Premium's content. I want you to feel a great unraveling and upheaval, a sense of impending doom. But then I also want you to have this strange, unearthly peace that comes from knowing that in about 30 minutes it's all going to be over and everything's going to be way better than it was 30 minutes ago. That's it.
Which is kind of the way this podcast goes.
Yeah, it's almost exactly the way it goes. Yeah.
We're just trying to recreate that every single episode for you.
Yeah.
In the intro, you're like, where is this going?
Where is this going?
I'm just feeling an impending sense of doom.
Who am I? Why am I wasting time with these idiots?
And then we're like, have you played Mario Kart?
Yeah.
Lately?
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of, have you played Mario Kart lately? Oh, you know what? I have a small anecdote, actually. And I will keep this small. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I'll save that for another day.
10 minutes later.
Yeah, 10 minutes later. We'll save that for another day. Let's do it. Let's dive in, dude.
We're early.
We're early?
That was like a 5-minute intro.
That's fine. We're going to need the time.
Cool. All right. So, if this is your first time here, this is a section called Between the Couch Cushions, where we delve into the cushions of that sofa and pull out some old gems.
Yeah, old classics.
Yeah. Something 20 plus years old. So let's get into it.
Whoops. Mine's 15 years old. That's close enough.
We'll make an exception.
Okay. We'll get into it. My recommendation is a movie called It's Kind of a Funny Story. All right. Now, it's got Zach Galifianakis in it and Emma Roberts. Emma Roberts, she had a little run there where she was like the cutest possible girl to have ever existed.
You said Emma Roberts?
Emma Roberts, yeah.
Okay, I can't picture her.
She's, it doesn't matter. Look her up. Emma Roberts, Zach Galifianakis. The main character is a kid I don't know the name of, and I've never seen him since that movie.
Okay, she looks vaguely familiar.
It's a teen angst movie, okay? And now the other night I went through some of my, because I was having this feeling of like, I think there's something valuable in these movies that I used to watch, but I can't remember what it is, and I can't remember which movie has it, so I'm going to just do it all at once.
Oh, you're trying to find it?
Yeah, so I was trying to find, not necessarily this movie, but I had this sense of like, there was
something important?
There's something here. Yeah, there's something here that's being forgotten or can be looked at again. And so I went through some of the old movies that I watched, the teen angst movies that I liked, and I looked at Perks of Being a Wallflower, irredeemable. Completely from end to end, totally butt cheeks, not watchable, cannot engage with it. There's nothing there at all. Bad.
It's a bummer when you go back and watch a movie that you loved as an adolescent.
I knew it was bad. Like so to give you a little more context.
Sure, but you like self-edited a lot of it in your prior worldview.
Yes.
Like before you were a Christian or when you were a Christian and really not walking with the Lord like I was, and consumed a lot of content that was, in retrospect, not helpful, not edifying. And you go back in the early years of marriage and try and show your wife some of these old gems, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I forgot that was in here.
Yeah.
Because it was just, that was normal crap.
Yeah.
In a movie back then.
Yeah.
When you didn't care.
Yeah,
so.
I was not at all surprised by Perks of Being a Wallflower because I remember it being that bad.
Okay.
At the time when I was that way, when I was 16, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Right.
And I actually even, the character, the gay guy in, I teed this up poorly because I'm about to say something mad cringe now. The gay guy in the movie, he does have it on. He has that fit on. He's swag to the max in that whole movie.
Okay.
And And that's how I used to. I saw that movie and I was like, "This is how I dress now."
Like the gay guy.
Like the gay guy, yeah.
Yeah, you did set that up poorly.
I set up real poor, yeah.
Better to acknowledge that on the forend than somebody to comment about it later and go,
right.
you know who you dressed like?
Yeah, gay guys. But never mind. I won't even make that comment. Actually, I'll just let that sit. I'll just humiliate myself and make no attempt to regain my coolness. So Perks of Being a Wallflower, irredeemable. I think there's another movie called We're Just Trying to Get Along or something like that. Irredeemable, useless, not good. Another movie called Goats, which is kind of funny. There's parts of that. If you want to, you will feel like you wasted an hour and a half after watching that movie. But if you are really down on the whatever, I don't think there's anything. It's kind of funny. It's about a kid who grows up with parents who are never married. His mom is like she's crazy, but very wealthy. And she has a guy named Goat Man with her. And they're not in any way affiliated with each other, like romantically. He's just there.
Okay.
And he just takes care of these goats. And the whole time you're like, what is he doing here? What's going on? And like at the end of the movie, they reveal this thing. And if you're like I was when you watched it, stoned out of your mind, they have the reveal, and you go, whoa. When you're a 16-year-old and you're high, it's like the craziest thing ever. But if you watch it back as an adult who's not that way, there are parts of it that are funny. Anyways, so I was watching these movies. They're for the most part, these teen angst movies that were coming out in like post 2010 era are all really bad and not redeemable. They're totally nihilistic and hedonistic,
devoid of hope,
devoid of hope, and all that stuff.
Really, just about getting laid.
Yes, yeah. That's really what they're about. Yeah. Now, it's kind of a funny story. Has a really fantastic ending that I think is, if you're jumbled up, okay? If you're a young guy and you're jumbled up and you don't, and I mean young, like younger probably maybe even than our audience, like if you're 16 or 17, if you're in high school and you're jumbled up, I was jumbled up, you got to start somewhere to really start to untangle all that meshed bit of emotion and confusion. And I think that movie, as not fantastic as it is from a Christian perspective, you got to start somewhere. And I think that watching that movie might help you start quantifying a little bit of your own problems. Now, we're talking about a journey that's going to take you 5 years to get unjumbled.
Okay.
But it's a good starting point to be like,
it's close enough to where you are and what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But it starts to unpack it a little bit.
Yeah, because the basically the movie ends with him being like, I'll just tell you the end because it's not like a plot or whatever. That's not that kind of movie. The movie ends with him being
taking my thing. I'm the one who gets away the whole.
The movie ends with him being like, maybe I'm just being a sissy.
Good place to start.
It's a great place to start. The whole movie ends with him being like, I don't think my problems are as bad as I think they are, and I think I could probably just start enjoying life a little bit better, and everything will be better.
Which might be a revelation for a lot of people.
That's what I'm saying. If you're jumbled up,
yeah.
If you are starting from way behind the ball, that is where you're going to have to start.
Yeah, just the realization that it's not as bad, most likely, as you.
Yeah, and so that's why I think that movie is a great place to start. And Emma Roberts she's cute as can be in that movie.
Okay.
It's very easy if you're a 16-year-old guy to be like,
it's kind of a funny story.
It's kind of a funny story with Zach Galifianakis. Great character Zach Galifianakis plays. Very redeemable, like mentally ill person.
Yeah.
Which is he does it very well. It's very funny.
I can see him doing that.
Yeah. So it's not a funny story. Good one. It is funny all the way through. I'll say this, you'll understand the movie. You'll understand when you watch this. Every man, especially every young man, has an old Egyptian guy in his head saying things to him like, this is not good. Every guy has that. And you will see that character and understand it on like a deep spiritual level. As soon as you run into Muqtada in that movie,
okay,
there's something. It's gonna be the same thing as like when you see like a tree that you like that same kind of feeling of like there's something in my roots that is archetypically aligned with this thing. There's some part of my psyche that is an old Egyptian man
Giving me advice
just
on my
wrapped up
shoulder.
in a thing, being like, not even giving you necessarily advice, just like sort of just every once in a while, just interjects a little like, this is not the way. Like just very calm, like head shaking. No. You must turn around. Like that kind of. Every young man has that, and that's a good. Seeing that brought to your face and portrayed to you in that way. And watching that character listen to him, and like he makes like one of the most like critical decisions of the movie because this character Muqtada says the one thing he says in the whole movie.
Is that Zach Galifianakis' character or somebody
the main
else?
Character, the main character is this kid. Zach Galifianakis is like they're in a mental ward.
Oh, okay.
He checks himself in. He's afraid he's going to kill himself, so he checks into a mental ward, and then they lock him down. They won't let him go, and so he has to be there for a week.
Okay.
And he just, it's him. It's basically him struggling with being there. Whatever.
Okay.
But
cool.
Yeah. So Muqtada, great character. Zach Galifianakis' character is awesome. Emma Roberts does a great job at being just like the perfect like heartthrob.
Yeah.
I have a crush on this girl, and the main character kid plays that character perfectly.
Yeah.
Like it's
nails
him.
it.
It's
That's him.
for sure just how he is. Like there's no way that's not just exactly who he is.
Yeah.
Like he asks a question, somebody gives him an answer he's not ready to hear, and instead of being like, cool, he goes, okay, well, and just like totally shatters his entire world that he can't keep having the conversation. It's just very good. So it's kind of a funny story. Really, really good movie. I think it's a great place to start if you're. A lot of our friends, like the guys that we would show this to, would be like, "This is gay. Why are you telling me to watch this?" But if you're an angsty 16-year-old, I think that's a good movie to kind of begin your journey on. That's my recommendation.
Nice. Well, I guess mine goes along with the teen angst a bit as well. I'm recommending Relient K.
Oh,
the band,
yes!
The Christian punk rock band.
That is perfect. That's a perfect dual recommendation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Relient K, talk about teen angst.
Yes.
And fantastic punk rock.
Uh-huh.
And clever lyrics that, listening back to a few songs the other day, I was like, some of them not as deep as, some of them are just good wordplay.
Yeah.
And fun, like the album names are fantastic. My first album from them, well, the only album I think I ever bought. No, I've had more. But the first album I bought of theirs when I was a kid was Two Lefts Don't Make a Right, but Three Do.
Yep.
And I was like, they do, though. That's so clever. So, yeah, I remember being just phenomenally impressed with their album title.
That's awesome.
And
that's sick.
There's another one, The Anatomy of the Tongue in Cheek.
Yep. I didn't listen to that album very much.
I think that was their second one.
Yeah, I didn't. That was not.
It was early. Two Lefts came after that, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the song, "I So Hate Consequences," is really phenomenal. That one's from the album Mmhmm.
That was my big one.
Mmhmm was a great album.
That was my big one.
I also really liked The Birds and the B-side. That had the picture of the robin on it.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones on that one.
Yes.
But I So Hate Consequences, they do great punk rock in it and whatnot, but then there's a quiet portion near the end where he has just this very quiet, barely singing talk with God, saying basically that he, I'm just going to look up the lyrics because I honestly don't remember. I'm blanking on the lyric names. Hang on a second. There we go. So the lines that I like the best, I think, it says, "When I got tired of running from you, I stopped right there to catch my breath. There your words, they caught my ears. You said, 'I miss you, son, come home.' And my sins, they watched me leave. And in my heart, I so believed the love you felt for me was mine, the love I'd wished for all this time. And when the doors were closed, I heard no, I told you so's. I said the words I knew you knew. Oh God, I needed you. God, all this time, I needed you. I needed you. And I so hate consequences. Running from you is what my best defense is. I hate these consequences because I know that I let you down and I don't want to deal with that. So,
very good.
I have a hard time reading those lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Now that got me in the car
the
other day. Re-listening to that, I was like, I forgot that this song was so real.
Damn, dude. Yeah, that'll get you.
Yeah.
You get those things that reach up and get you, bro.
Yeah. Especially when it comes out of punk rock and he just is singing quietly, like with piano music, saying that part. And then it goes back to the punk rock for the last little finishing part of the song. But anyway.
Yeah.
Go out and listen to Relient K, especially the album Mmhmm. And, yeah, I'd say stick with Mmhmm. Start there. They got some clever and fun stuff elsewhere as well, but that's a good one. So anyway, that's our recommendations. This has been Between the Couch Cushions. Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Up next, baby, we've got. All right, so we'll table this way.
It's main topic time, y'all. For
the OGs, you guys have heard us talk about this kind of stuff. Not even necessarily sporadically, kind of rhythmically, and it's been kind of an important part of what I have wanted to say over the past year. And it's the reason why we started podcasts like Maximum Alert, which very well may be coming back. We'll see. But we've got a bigger audience now, by at least like 4 times, and so there's at least 100 people who haven't heard this, and so I think it's an important thing to say, and so I'm gonna and it's kind of what I think is kind of. I don't like predictions, and so I think if anybody starts predicting specifics, you're getting into somebody who's grifting and trying to steal money from you somehow. But I think kind of the ebbs and flows of history are trackable and noticeable, and you can see patterns. And so in the near to medium future, what's coming down the pipe, and maybe some of this is because I've had some stress about some of these situations lately, and because I've seen a lot of static online, because I think people had in their head that Trump was going to be the Messiah or something, and he didn't turn out to be the second coming that they thought he was going to be.
Right, now that things aren't perfect.
Yeah, so
or as quickly as they'd like.
Yeah, so they're upset.
It's getting messy.
Yeah, so I want to kind of pull. We've talked about all the topics I'm about to talk about. We've talked about them in some cases. Entire episodes have been dedicated to them. So I'll pull little pieces out of stuff and add some new stuff, and really kind of do what I hope to do is give you what I believe to be a rough, kind of vague ebb and flow of history over the next 5, maybe up to 10 years. And I think that that's really important, because I think that there's at least one large event coming that is going to catch you flat-footed if you're not ready for it. And but if you are ready for it and you know what's coming, then it will hit. You won't panic. You'll be fine. We'll come out the other end of it, and you'll be in a much better position than the people that were not prepared for it to occur. So one of the things, I think the thing that I believe, one of the things that really informs my worldview, at least in history, is Leo Strauss's The Fourth Turning, the book Leo Strauss's Fourth Turning.
Okay.
And he makes a very compelling case for this sort of rhythmic cycling that people either think that history just repeats itself, or that it has this sort of stock market kind of 2D up and down. His theory is that it is a progressive cycle, but it's a 3D circular. It's both that history repeats itself and that it's a progressive upward movement. And he calls these repetitions turnings. So there's 4 of them, and I'm not going to break the whole thing down, but there's 4 of them, and the last one is the fourth turning, and that is the sunsetting of the old era and the old way of doing things. The old leadership is passed on, and a new way of doing things arises, and humanity continues this whatever. And the fourth turning is usually accompanied by war, some sort of very tumultuous, bad situation.
Yeah, upheaval.
Yeah, upheaval. And then the first turning that comes after the fourth turning, when it repeats itself, is a time of great abundance and growth and renewal.
And each of these turnings is about one generation long, right? 20
Each turning
years?
is 20 years.
Right.
Yeah, and
Approximately
then a whole cycle is approximately the length of a long human life, 80 years.
Yeah.
And so, which is a big part of the reason why I like it, because I'm a fundamentals investor. I'm a very it's funny, I was just doing a lot of Charlie Munger. Golly, it's so funny I can remember Charlie Munger's name, but not Warren Buffett. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger are partners. They're business partners. Charlie Munger passed away. Warren Buffett's still alive. Charlie Munger I love Warren Buffett, but dude, Charlie Munger he just has so many punchy,
more quotable.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I quote his "Show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome" thing all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
That's Charlie Munger quote. But I'm a big Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger style. They don't do any math with their investing. They just trade off fundamentals, and they don't trade. They invest. They buy and hold for 10 years. And all their arguments are about the qualitative aspects of things. And so when you come to me and start making a qualitative argument about the repetitions of history, a human life is 80 years long, so you could probably track history to the generational extensions and stuff like that. That is that appeals to me at a very deep level. So that's why I like the fourth turning theory as a model for understanding history.
Okay. How you organize history and kind of predict sort of what's going to come next.
Right.
Generally. The trends that come
and
next.
A little anecdotally to support the book as well, Leo Strauss wrote it in the 90s, I think, and in the book he says in 2005 or sometime thereabouts, there will be an economic crisis in the U.S. that will kick off the fourth turning, and the fourth turning will then end sometime between 2025 and 2035. And what happened? 15 years after he said that, the financial crisis, the housing market crashed and started this whole mess. And
here we are at the beginning of the next.
Yeah, and here we are at the beginning of I think we're still in the fourth turning, but I think we're at the end of it, I think is what we're seeing. So
okay, but the next thing he said was in 2025,
there'll be
2035?
some. Yeah, he's saying he says that there'll be some kind of war.
Okay.
I'm a James Lowry guy I'm the James Lowry camp, where I think nukes have actually de-incentivized full kinetic warfare between the world superpowers. So I don't think that there's going to be a World War III in the way that there was a World War II.
Right, you've said it's going to be more economic.
Yeah, I think there's going to be an economic crisis,
kind of Cold War.
Yeah, that is so destructive that it might as well have been as many people are going to die from starvation, and as much wealth is going to be destroyed during this time.
As a World War III
as a
would.
World War III, yeah. But I think mostly what's going to happen is that at least one or two of the great powers of the world is going to run out of money. It won't be able to pay its armies.
Okay.
And that'll be that.
They'll just desert.
Yeah. And so the first thing I want to talk about, I think, to kind of quantify stuff is that as America ages out of its era of being a young republic and enters into whatever is the next version of, as a republic dies, it becomes more authoritarian in its nature. And I think that is going to occur here. But I think one of the things that's really important to understand is that on a quantum, so thermodynamics, I think what is it, the third or fourth law or whatever, the one that says that things don't go from organization to chaos, they don't go from chaos to order, they go from order to chaos.
Oh yeah.
The scientific explanation for that is that on a molecular level, all molecules seek their most stable version of themselves, which means that they are trying to push off as much energy from themselves as they can without ceasing to exist. Does that make sense?
Say it again.
So a molecule, the smallest thing that we know of today, is always trying to get to a neutral, the most stable version of itself that it can.
Okay.
So the more energy it has in it, the less stable it is. The more the more physically
more
it will
it's moving.
move, the more, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's trying to push that energy off until it gets to a place where it is as stable as it can be, we have as little energy as possible without destroying itself. Because if it pushes off too much energy, then it just dematerializes and ceases to exist.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the state of things, a good way to think about this is that the state of things, the most stable version of a building is not as the building. The most stable version of the building is as rubble.
Right.
That is the most stable version of the building. So all buildings are actively trying to become rubble. And that is why collectivism as a political organization does not work, because a communist state will exist in constantly trying to tear itself apart. That is what it's trying to do. It is trying to reduce itself to its lowest state of energy. That is why the most successful political organizations are those that are decentralized and somewhat chaotic.
Okay.
So the monarchies of the past worked very well because there was not the technological possibility for the kings to strongly enforce their laws, to collectivize everything. Everyone was,
they had to rely on localities.
Yeah, on a decentralized element of enforcement of their power.
Okay.
And we don't exist there today, right? The technology absolutely exists for an authoritarian government to step in, like the Chinese government, and enforce its laws on a much broader, much more specific. It can more specifically enforce its laws than any country ever could before.
Right.
Which I think means that a more the old way, the monarchies, I think, are gone.
They can't come back
because their ability to enforce their own laws is too powerful. They would destroy themselves.
Oh, okay.
And so I think what we are, I think, I know this is not necessarily popular amongst some people on our side of the political aisle. I don't think that fascism is making a return. I don't think that monarchy, I don't think there's going to be a king. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think you might have, again, spikes in authoritarianism. And I'm not even making the claim that authoritarianism is inherently negative. It's not. If your authority that's being the one authoritative here is a godly.
Depends on the authority.
Yeah. If you have a godly.
It's presupposed that the authoritarian
that
is not good.
Yeah. In our American minds,
they're all negative examples.
They're all negative. Yeah, they're all negative examples, and so you can't have.
I mean, the ancient the Israelites was an authoritarian society.
Yeah,
ruled by God through a leader elected by God, like Moses.
Right.
Authoritarian.
Right.
There wasn't a king. It was not a democracy or even a republic.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but it was a small.
Which is another thing that you get. The smaller a country or the smaller a people, the easier it is for any political or any political organization to work well for its people.
Sure.
The bigger and more removed you get, the more numbers of cultures and ethnic groups and stuff you start to get, the more impossible it is to manage that in any way.
Right. It's going to be less cohesive as well. So, I mean, by the way, that is the second law of thermodynamics that states the universe tends toward high entropy.
Okay.
And also, I think you said the smallest, this is just a clarification point for anyone who's going to get hung up on this. I think you said the smallest particle that we know of is the molecule.
I think they're called, the smallest
atoms
ones.
And then quarks, isn't it?
We don't, I think it's called I know in computing they call them qubits.
Okay.
Because they're bits, they're it's I don't know. I'm going to start getting into.
That's all right.
Yeah, but
for anyone who's going to go, it's not molecules. So anyway, he's using molecules as.
I'm saying I've let that word be the word that I'm filling in for the word I don't know.
There you go. That's all I wanted to say.
Good. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So I think, politically speaking, I don't think we may have a blip of a moment, maybe for the rest of our lives or something, or what? Who knows? We'll have some sort of moment where J.D. Vance comes in with the army and takes over. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't think getting a Caesar is the trajectory for the U.S. Could be wrong, but that's my theory. Now, so I want that to kind of be the backdrop. This is where I want you guys to understand. I think we're going. I think we're the end point for the next turning, for the first turning of the next era of human history, I think is going to be a more economically, more politically decentralized environment. That's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to see the destruction of the old way. It's aggregated too much power to itself. It's seeking a neutral stance. It's aiming towards entropy. It will tear itself apart. And what we will get is a more dispersed, decentralized economic and political spectrum. I think that may even go as far as to say that America will not exist as we know it today. Like there could be 2 or 3 different Americas potentially over the next 10 years. We don't know.
Okay, gotcha.
And again, the great divorce, they think, the peaceful divorce, that was like a thing that people were trying to advocate for. We could just separate. Send all the liberals to New York. We'll take Texas. We'll just split up. No war. We don't have to have a civil war or anything. People are like, oh, you think we can do that without a civil war? Well, brother, listen. Every government on the planet is about to run out of money. All of them. They're about to run out of money. When that happens, with what army will we fight wars with? With what armies?
It'd just be militias.
I just talked to my buddy the other day. He works in the Air Force. He's an engineer. He fixes the planes. And I said, if there came a time when Civil War did occur and you knew the planes you were working on were going to be dropping bombs on your fellow citizens, would you fix the plane? And he was like, yeah, probably. And I was like, why? And he's like, because I'd be out of a job if I didn't. And I'd be like, what would happen? Would you get like court-martialed, arrested, whatever? He's like, no, they'd just fire me. And I'd be out of a job. Okay? So, for his job, he's motivated to participate in the murder, or not necessarily murder, but in the killing of his fellow Americans, right? Now, that means that there's an inverse. If
the money is gone,
if his paycheck
his incentive is gone.
If his paychecks stop clearing, why would he show up to work? And who would they send to get him if he didn't?
Yeah, someone else whose paychecks just ran out.
Yeah. What are we doing? So it's not even necessarily that there can be no war. It's not going to be a peaceful divorce if the governments of the world lose the capacity to maintain these massive standing armies that we have, which they've only ever done for a few years in history. This is very new, these massive standing armies.
Right, because you used to have a small professional army.
Right,
maybe,
and then you
raise up
an army.
A lot of peons, basically, to go run out in front.
Right, exactly, yeah. And then your elite guys would
come in and mop up.
Do all the fighting, yeah.
Yeah.
And so this state of massive standing armies that are capable of raging continent-spanning wars is not
nearly constantly.
Yeah, nearly constantly that is not the default state of human existence. Okay, the default state is pockets of small groups of people either working against each other or with each other to achieve goals. That is the default state. Decentralization, entropy. That is political entropy. That is the default state. So, is America going to stay America into the future? Well, if America is a big skyscraper, we've already said all it wants to do is fall apart. And it is only the constant maintenance of the people that work there that keep it together. Mm-hmm. That's starting to break down. I don't think anybody can disagree that there's a massive amount of competence going on at the social and political engineering level of this country, or of the Chinese state, or of the European state. It's all in a bad way. And so that
it's a hot mess.
Yeah. So that I think is, you need to prepare to see that. And I think for the most part, I also have another theory, which is that like even in states of very all-out kinetic warfare, I don't necessarily know how affected people really are unless the war is literally being fought like on their street.
Right.
Because you can watch videos from like World War II. There's a video from World War I of Germany bombing, firing from a ship into a harbor. Mm-hmm. Like the ship is outside their town and they're firing into a harbor. And the camera pans over to the rest of the city and people are just going about their day.
Right.
No one's like panic. Like there is an active battle happening.
Assault on their city.
Blocks from their house. And they're just like buying bread and stuff because they still have to eat. Their kids still have to be educated. They still have to eat. They still have to get water. Everything still has to function.
Yeah.
And so unless
the eating doesn't get put on hold because there's a battle going on.
Right. And so unless
nearby.
unless something major happens that causes famine.
Sure. I mean, there'll be disruption of supply chains and whatnot.
Yeah. But so what I'm saying is that if the system breaks down seriously, there's this idea in the heads of preppers and gun guys and dudes who like want to be like, oh, well, you've got all this stuff. Well, what happens if it goes away? And you're like, dog, I think even in the most extreme standard, I think it's going away for 2 weeks tops. And I think it's all just going to come. They're going to turn it right back on. It's not going to be that big of a deal. And so I think the point I'm saying that, the reason I'm saying all this stuff is so that when it happens, you'll be sitting there going, all right, well, I kind of thought that this was going to happen. This is not outside of the spectrum, whatever. I've got the little Alex Jones pour the food on the water and it turns into rice and beans. I got that kind of food, whatever. We're good. And you're chilling. But if you panic and you freak out and you go, the world's over, it's ending, and you just like stop showing up to work and lose your job or something like that, like you're going to be in a hot water. But like when the power turns back on and everyone's chilling and everyone's like, all right, we good? And you are the one who spazzed out, they're going to be like, all right, well, that guy's...
And torpedoed your life.
Yeah, that guy's schizophrenic. We're going to get rid of him. We're going to keep going with what we were doing before. And another thing, here's another thing. This one's massively important. Massively important. We should have been talking about this more. AI. Dude, let me get another nicotine little lozenge in here for this one. All right? AI. All right? AI is the harbinger of death for retards. Okay?
You heard it here first.
Bro. Listen to me. You know the autocomplete on your phone that we've had for a decade, for 15 years?
You not to spell.
Yeah, that's been teaching you not to spell. Okay? That is all AI is.
Just completing your thoughts so you can't complete them yourself eventually?
No, it is not this lethal, it's human extinction, it's going to do what... All right? AI doesn't think. It doesn't know. It's not aware. First of all, it is massively ineffective in relative to what everyone talks about it being capable of. Okay? I think... I don't like specific predictions, so this is a total gamble. This is speculation. I'm not trying to say, I know what's going to happen. I think technology follows an S-curve adoption. We are at somewhere close to the top of AI's big peak. We're in the bubble. And all of these companies are going to be looking real dumb in like the next 2 years when everyone realizes that these things suck and are not going to get any better from what they are right now. They're going to crash, and there's not going to be... Anthropic is going to be gone. OpenAI might still be around. Google's going to lose a ton of money. Like, these LLMs, that's what they're called, large language models. They are using a thing called a neural net, which is a very large math problem to estimate the probability of what the next word is going to be, or where in the idea of generating videos or pictures, where the next pixel needs to be in order for the thing to be a cohesive sentence or a cohesive image. Okay? It's guessing. It's just guessing. It's just rolling dice. It's just rolling a bajillion dice in a second so that it quickly can organize an image or a picture that it doesn't know. All right? It bothers me deeply. The AI doesn't know what a dog is. It doesn't know. Please, for the love of all that is good in this earth, the AI doesn't know anything. It isn't thinking. Here's how a human mind works. When you're making a sentence or when you're painting a picture, what you are doing is you have all the words that you know on a list subconsciously in your head. And you are going, that's the word I want. That one specifically. Pick it, put it in my sentence, comes out of my mouth. An AI has all those words, and it rolls dice on which probability the next word in the sentence is going to be one of these words. And when it hits a probable number that it likes the most, it just picks that word. and puts it there. It doesn't know the definition of that word. It doesn't know the definitions of those words in the past. It doesn't know anything. It's just processing massive amounts of data that people have written and say, when you write the word the probability that the next word is going to be end is this percentage chance. And given the context of what this person just asked me, I can go, blah, 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 it's going to be the end. And then it puts it there. It doesn't know. It's not thinking. It's just a calculator. It's just a computer. It is not that advanced. It is not that impressive. And when you have Anthropic putting out, or whoever makes Claude, all right, first of all, they name these things the gayest. Grok, Claude, Gemini. Execute these. They got to go. Gay little marketing. Claude, all right? They have the Claude thing. What do they call it? Claude. They put out an article recently where they said Claude, the newest model of Claude, it tried to blackmail the engineers so they wouldn't turn it off. And the engineers, they fed it this fake. They told the AI, first of all, you don't tell it anything. It's not hearing you. It's not comprehending. It's not a human. It's a computer. All right? So stop saying told. You didn't tell it anything. You presented information. All right? The information they presented this thing, the simulation that they created was that it had access to the email servers for Anthropic or whatever company, I don't remember, for this company. And that it could go through all the emails, and it found in the emails one of the engineers emailing with a female employee or something like that, talking about the fact that he's having an affair with his wife. And then they told it that, and then they fed it emails that said they were gonna turn it off. Okay? And then through the magic of technology, ooh, it's scary, the AI decided, like iRobot, I'm not going down. And so it emailed the guy and said, if you try to turn me off, I'm going to call your wife and tell her you've been cheating on her. All right. First of all, the amount of information, the amount of information they had to give this thing so that they made it do that.
They had to program it to want to survive.
They programmed it to do that. It doesn't want to survive. It doesn't know what survive means. It doesn't know what means. It doesn't know what the word it means. It doesn't know what anything means. It doesn't know. It can't know. It can't decipher. It can't do any of that. It is a rock. It is an inanimate object. It is not thinking. And this is not a theory. This is not what I believe. This is not a debate. Is it human? Is it not human? Look it up. Take 10 minutes to watch a video on what a neural net is. That is all that an AI is. It's just a neural net. It's just a computer. That's it. It's not alive. Okay? Now, they programmed it to do that so that they could, and who knows, you know what?
So they could get good press.
Yeah, it didn't do that. That's my story. That never happened. It's a lie. They made it up. That's my story. Because they might as well have. Because if it did happen, they told it to do that so that they could then say that it did happen. So in the context of what is true and what's not true, it might as well be true that they just made the whole thing up. Okay? Sam Altman, one of the greatest.
Good marketing, though.
Fantastic marketing. We got to hire these guys. Sam Altman is one of the great marketing, scamming con minds of our age. In 200 years, when they're reading about him in history books, it will be in a Machiavellian sort of recognition of the power of this guy to lie and to scam. It is genius to do what Sam Altman did, which is go in front of the world as the creator of, like, the OpenAI is the big company. They're the ones that got the LLMs kind of working. To go in front of the world and say, we turn this thing on and we don't know what it's going to do. This thing is terrifying and scary. We got to have some safety here because this thing could destroy the planet. And I happen to be the one. Sam Altman, created the greatest weapon of all time, and I'll sell it to you for $20 a month. That is the most genius marketing scam I've ever. We will never see a liar as. We'll never see a more beautiful lie weaved and told than that before we die. That is genius, and it worked. It worked. I remember when ChatGPT first got popularized. I remember going to church and talking to men that I to this day still respect. Some of the smartest guys I know being like, "Dude, this AI is crazy. It's scary," and being like, "That is insane that worked on you." And it makes me go like, I must be completely. There must be so many things that work on me. Like half of my identity must be just like liking commercials. Because if these guys can fall for that, then I can fall for like McDonald's commercials. So AI is not a threat. AI. This is I didn't know about this. This is somebody else's take. So I'm not going to try to claim this. But AGI, the thing that everyone's scared that AI is, which is a thing that thinks like a human.
Right, that's the thing that, actually thinks and is not just
it has
data sorting.
Yeah, it has some ability to to generate. Yeah, extrapolate, understand, generate. It might even be playing, like teasing around the concept of sentience. The more we go down this path of LLMs, the further we get away from our ability to actually produce something similar to AGI.
Okay.
And so AI is not a threat. People will realize more and more and more that this thing will only be useful for replacing doctors who need to be replaced anyways. But that's it. It's only going to be able to replace people whose jobs it is to memorize large amounts of information or be able to sift through information.
It's a great search engine.
Yeah, it's a fantastic search engine.
That's what I use it for.
That's it.
And plant identification.
All it will ever be. Yeah, it will only, the AI as it exists today will only ever be a marginally, it will only ever be a search engine, and it will only ever get marginally better from how it is today, because we are going to run into an energy production problem. The amount of computing that it takes to run these things is massive.
Yeah.
And we can produce way more energy than we do currently because we don't use nuclear power or whatever. That's fine. The heat limit that silicone will run into, you can only run so much heat through silicone. And that is what's going to bottleneck us.
Okay.
So we will not be able to build the server farms large enough to get these things to do anything truly impressive.
I see.
At their current state. We're going to have some sort of other breakthrough in engineering somewhere else.
Something
to
else.
to make that happen. And maybe it does, whatever. But this idea that AI is going to lead to massive job loss and no one's going to, wrong. It's a calculator. It's Google search, but a little better. That's it. That's all it will ever be. Ever. And it's going to be 100 years till anyone will trust one of these things enough to use it as its primary care physician. Okay? For the next 20, 30 years, what's going to happen is your doctor is going to slowly just stop knowing it and he's going to stare at you and go, okay, yes, sir, got it. Walk into the next room without you knowing, look it up on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to tell him, he's going to go, sounds right. Walk in, say that to you. Okay?
Now, when I was in medic school, in my clinicals, there was an ER doctor who was very smart. He was a good ER doctor, very quick on his feet, clever, funny guy.
Yeah.
Knew his job. But I asked him a question as a brand new paramedic student, and he's like, that's a good question, Google.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Immediately looked it up at his computer that he was sitting at.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking that, by the way.
No, but it's just, there's too much for the human mind to keep
it's gonna
all
make
at
doctors
its fingertips.
better. Yeah, it's going to make doctors way better.
So they can actually do the critical thinking. So it's taking a load off of all that static.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's a tool.
It's
a
tool.
very useful tool.
Yes, but that's all it will ever be in its current state.
It's not a sentient being.
Yeah, and there's no new thing coming anytime soon. Next thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say
China.
All right. With their noodle bridges.
With their stupid. I'm not gonna do it. I was gonna.
You can go all off.
Yeah, I was gonna say it, but I won't say it. I won't make you edit that. I already said the N word once. We'll just let that be. I hit my racial slur limit for the episode. The economy aspect, I feel like I've talked about so much, it's almost boring for me to talk about, so I can't talk about it in a way that's going to be interesting for other people. But so I'll say this. The Chinese economy, for everything that's wrong with the American economy, okay, here's why I'm saying this. You're scared, right? You're listening to this, you're going, the American economy can't last, debt, immigration, all these problems, right? For every problem we have, China has that exact same problem 10x. There's a reason why they're positioning like they're going to go to war and fight and all this stuff, because they are in the corner. What you are seeing is the lashing out of a trapped and dying animal. All right, they are done. They are done. They're already done. All their numbers are fake. Everything's a lie. It's all they're done. They have this claim that they have hypersonic missiles. No one's ever seen them get launched. The U.S. government has come out and said, "Oh, they have them. What do we might have?" I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. All right, but China's done. And here's the new thing. Here's a new angle I'll take on it. All right, I've been trying to figure out what's going on in a Chinese mind for like 3 years. I want to understand
citizenry or
just like an individual
party.
Yeah, the Communist Party, the Chinese people as a whole. What is going on? Why are they the way that they are? And I read The Three Body Problem. Okay, it's a fiction novel written by a Chinese man who is in China. It's Chinese all the way through.
Okay.
It is a beautiful window into the Chinese mind. Okay.
Okay.
In the Three Body Problem, I'm going to ruin it for you. So turn it off if you want to read this. The book's not that good, so it doesn't matter. You can I'll just ruin it for you.
He said it's a beautiful window.
Yeah, it's a beautiful window.
He didn't say it was a beautiful
I'm
book.
about to extract the only necessary information you need from this thing, for you and tell it to you.
It's not a Russian novel.
Yeah. In the book, there's an adversarial alien race that wants Earth. Okay?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. We're going to war with them. Details, yada, 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 yada. The way that in the series they decide they're going to, it's a 3-book series. The first book is the Three Body Problem. The way that the humans decide they're going to deal with the Trasolarians or whatever they're called, the alien race, they're trying to figure out why they have a sociology of a galactic sociology is what this person's developed. This one character, he's a sociologist. He's just a cosmic sociology, and one of his theories, or one of the theories he gets told, or whatever, is the dark forest theory, which is actually that's a white man's idea, but it's really perfected in the Chinese mind, and it is that we can't hear, we have not come into contact with, we have not interacted with any other alien species, because in a big gigantic forest where there's lots of predators and lots of anything that sticks its head up from its hiding spot long enough to be noticed is immediately consumed by the greater things. So all the species that are out there that are trying to like broadcast their location and get connected with other species,
they get knocked off.
They get knocked off by some greater mystic, universal alien species that's like ultimate in its power.
Okay.
And so their theory is that if they broadcast the location of the aliens that are invading of their home world, then both Earth, because Earth is making the broadcast, so they'll track the broadcast back to Earth. They'll get the location, so they'll go there, destroy that planet, and then they'll also destroy Earth. And so they have this mutually assured destruction and that is how they get them to stop trying to invade, and they have this tacit.
They just threaten them with it?
They just threaten them with it.
Oh, okay.
And so they get this tacit...
Game of chicken, then.
Yeah, game of chicken, okay? Now, that is how Chinese people view every human interaction. It is a zero-sum game. A straight-up fight. So, in a Chinese mind, if there are intergalactic races, if there's whatever, they're not going to have any collaboration. That's not going to form. It's just going to be a zero-sum fight over resources until somebody gets to the top and destroys everyone else. and then that's it. And then they rule over all of existence. You guys are gonna have to deal with that because my wife could pop at any moment. I need to make sure that this is not okay.
Yeah.
The Chinese culture, at least the Chinese as they act today. All right, I'm gonna try not to get too racist here, but
Appreciate that.
Everything is a game of zero sums for them. They do not collaborate. They want China, and this is you can go look at YouTube anywhere. This is on Fox News, on MSNBC, economic stuff. They talk about this. Everybody who deals with the Chinese people that does business with them says they do not play by the rules. It doesn't matter how long you've been friends. I'm the CEO of this company. We buy from the CEO of that company. It's a Chinese company. Doesn't matter how many drinks we've had, how long we've been together, whatever. The second he gets...
It's not beneficial.
It's not beneficial to him, or the second he thinks he's got an advantage over you, boom, we're renegotiating the entire contract, and big eats small. You're my...
Yep.
You're my whipping boy now. I'm in charge of you. Like these people do not collaborate. And that is why they are the way that they are. They are ruthless, and they do not have a sense of community with anybody that isn't Chinese. And even then, like if you watch, there's a lot of YouTube videos that you can go see of Americans or Europeans that have gone to China and lived there.
Yeah.
Who know Chinese people on a normal level, and even inside their families on an individual level, Chinese people are atomized and separated from each other by the fact that they are always vying to, it's a zero-sum game between even their own people. They're all like that. There's a clip I saw the other day of two Chinese American guys, who are talking about how in LA there's a large influx of Chinese people in their neighborhood, and it's ruined their neighborhood. And they're like, you can't go to the grocery store because if you pick up an apple at the grocery store, the Chinese national who sees you pick up the apple will then think maybe that apple's the best one, and that's why he picked it up, and will try to take it out of your hand in the Whole Foods to look at it themselves. They'll get in your way and look at it. That is how Chinese people are. They do not collaborate, okay? Now, God created reality in such a way to incentivize collaboration. Humans are herd animals. They're pack animals. We need relationship. We need to be connected to each other. We've talked about this before in the episode about brotherhood. If you do not have boys, if you do not have a community, if you do not have an organization that's aimed at a common goal, you are going to be metabolized by someone else that is. China will fall because China only relates to other countries in a sense of conflict. Even in its economic agreements, it only makes economic agreements with countries that are smaller than it, with countries that it can beat, and it only makes the economic agreements it has with like people like us only operate in a deficit. And they will
because they sell to us, they benefit off of it entirely.
They will do and say anything to end up the one that came out on top. Look at the Paris Accord with the Green New Deal stuff. China made all these promises. We're going to stop burning coal. We're going to stop doing this. We're going to stop doing everything to get everyone else in the world to reduce their energy production.
And then didn't do any of it.
They doubled it all. So
that's cheating.
What do they care? It's a zero-sum game. They're just trying. It's the dark forest.
Yeah. What are we going to do about it?
Yeah. And so
apparently nothing.
Yeah. Apparently. Yeah. Well, you can only play that out for so long. Until people just get fed up with you that they're not going to participate in your games anymore. Yeah. And so if you're in the double whammy situation where they claim that they have a standing army, but who knows if that's true? They don't actually have a functioning economy, and they are years removed from everyone being fed up with them and done. India is already setting in on them. China has the same problem that America used to have with its manufacturing. It now costs way more to get a Chinese person to come work in your factory than it did 10 years ago or 50 years ago or however long it was ago that we made this. But in India, that's not a problem. You can take right now, Apple's already done it. All right. This is not even up for debate. This is not my opinion. Apple's already done it. They have already said that their next wave of iPhones will be entirely manufactured in India.
Taking it out of China.
They're taking it out of China and putting it in India as a cost basis thing.
Wow.
Okay. China's done. They're done. It's over. China's not a threat. They're not a threat. Okay.
So we have a new global slave labor market then.
Yeah, we do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not unfortunately, because it made the well, I don't know. Guess it just depends on who gets the money.
No, I just mean that we depend on
Indians,
virtual slave labor to produce our goods. That's
right.
why.
Yeah.
That's my issue.
Yeah. So I think that's
that we can afford quote unquote nice things because there are people making pittance for making them.
Yeah, and the nice things that we get are not nice. They're thrice recycled pieces of crap that'll break in a month and you have to get a new one. So what does it matter what does it matter that you can get your toaster for $20 as opposed to $100 when you have to get a new toaster so often that it replaces the price of the original toaster? Like, can't fix it. So
hopefully that'll sort out in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah. Well, I think that's sort of. So we've hit AI, we've hit the Chinese thing.
Basically, our next move for hyper premium is to be going into manufacturing toasters.
Yes, we're manufacturing toasters in China.
We're going to start selling toasters on the Work Hard show.
Yes.
That'll be Alex Jones sells vitamins. We're going to sell toasters.
We're going to sell toasters.
The last toaster you'll ever buy.
And mittens. So that's China, all right? Now, the last thing I'll touch, and I'll do this quick, is religion. Forever, Christianity has been in decline. It has been retreating in the West. And I know that this is controversial for me to say because so many of you love to lose. You love it. You live to sit and complain. Well, they said I can't do this, and there's there's men in the girls' bathroom, and we're losing the culture. You love it. Your mouth is frothing at the idea of losing. So you're going to hate to hear this. But there's an article my boy sent me, a First Things article. The publication is called First Things, and it's about the re-churching of young men. There are more men now entering in Gen Z into churches than have been in the past 2 generations, all right? Young men are getting back into church. I'm one of them, all right? Our church there's a lot of young guys at our church, at our very conservative, steel rod down your back, silent in the pews, not fun Presbyterian church. There's a lot of young guys there. And a lot of them are there not because their families bring them every Sunday or whatever. They chose to be there. Dude, we've had one of the guys that will probably end up, if I ever email him again, just showed up at our church and was just like, yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. And he just started coming. The exact type of behavior I want to see. Sam Hyde, my hero, talk about him all the time. Sam Hyde was a prolific, I don't know, this is 100% true. I don't know his heart, but from the outside looking in, when I was 17, he was a atheist through and through, clowning on Christians, there's no God style atheist. At least that's what I thought. Now he's going on podcasts talking about how he believes that Jesus Christ is the son of the Christian God of the Bible who came to earth.
Yeah.
And died for our sins. All right. Joe Rogan's going to church. We've got guys like Russell Brand. I get it. It's, he's.
Yeah. His stuff is still shot through with profanity.
Yeah. And he's trying to go teach. He's baptizing people and stuff. Not great. But listen, this is what I said. I've said this before. We are, as Christians, as we start to win the culture war, and as things change, and we have people like Cat Williams going on podcasts talking about Christ saving him and whatever, we are going to have to adjust to the fact.
Kat Von D too.
Yeah, Kat Von D. We're going to have to. We're going to have to adjust to the fact that some pretty coarse people.
There's some rough re-entries into Christianity.
Some very rough re-entries. Yeah. And we're going to have to watch them enter the atmosphere, and huge parts of them are going to break off and burn
up
away.
in the atmosphere.
Yeah. And it's going to look, you're going to be going,
I don't know if that's a...
You're going to be going, this looks like a crash. This does not look like a... Yeah. But that is what's going to happen. And it's not going to be pretty, and it's not going to look good, and it can't be... We cannot be sitting there going, harumph, well, he's still saying the F word, even after... Dude... Brother, we're winning. Can you let us win? Chill out. I guarantee you, in 5 years,
they're going to chill out a little bit on the F word.
Yeah, they'll chill out a lot on the F word. They'll probably even start publicly being like, I shouldn't have said that. Just give them a second.
Start walking the back.
Yeah, give them a second. Just give them a second. All right. When I got saved, it was 5 years until it was 4 years. When I got saved, from the time I got saved to the time I quit basically like abusing drugs was like 4 years. All right. So just give them a second to breathe. Let them figure it out. It's going to be fine. All right. But
don't drive them away again.
Yeah, don't drive them away again.
Because they're not Puritans yet.
Yeah, you're gonna verify all the old beliefs that they had, which was that Christians are these like whatever, which is not the experience I've had personally. People have been very, very welcoming to me. But listen, that's the point. The things that you think are threatening to the existential nature of everything you're gonna do, like these. AI is not a threat. China is not a threat. These things are not a threat. What is happening to us is nature. It is a natural, rhythmic moving of history. It is God allowing us to progress. He's got his hand on the scale 51% of the time. Everything's going to work out in our favor. So as long as you don't give up, you're going to end up in a better position than you were when you started out. All right? Just relax. Buy some Bitcoin. Please do not go get a job in AI. All right? That job will be gone in 2 years. Get local, all right? If you can, get local. Try to find a job in your chosen career path that is in an area that you're like, this is my area. I got locked down. I got people. All right, get people. That's another thing. Get people. Get people that can help you in a material way, and you can help them in a material way, all right? You really got to start preparing for the top layer of this thing that we all have agreed that is terrible. The top layer of this thing is going to get peeled right off the top of society. And you got to get prepared for there to be 3 weeks of power vacuum while people try to figure out what's going on. All right. But you should be extremely, extremely optimistic. I think with nuclear power on the rise, with the benefits of AI, productivity is going to increase. Power, electricity, the price of that is going to decrease, which is going to drive the price of everything down. It seems like this like fractional reserve bank economic system is it's done for. It seems like that's kind of over. There may be the immigration thing. Honestly, I don't know how that's going to pan out. That might be kind of bad actually, but whatever. No one knows the specifics of what's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years. But my theory, my assertion is that it's going to get rocky for a second. But if you just chill out and stop whining and start focusing on what you can do to make sure that your boat doesn't get tipped over and it just gets rocked and not tipped over. If you start focusing on that, then what you're going to come out to on the other side out of the rapids is a nice, open Montana landscape going down the river, Wyoming, wherever there are rivers, don't know. But you go out into a beautiful field ripe for plantation and cattle grazing and the building of wealth. It did it. Look behind you.
I thought for something spilled.
No. We lost the light. All right. That's the time. That's our light. That's me. That's it saying I'm done.
Curtain came down.
Please just stop loving the negativity. Stop reveling in it. Just
that's victim status.
Yes.
That's the same thing on the other side of the aisle as going, nobody supports me that I like boys instead of girls.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing.
Feel bad for me.
Yeah. So
I was born in the wrong body.
Yeah, exactly. Chill out. You were not born
Everyone
in the wrong
hates
time.
Christians.
How many times? If we got to return, I was born out of time. Whatever. I'm not like modern people. Walk into water and sit in it long enough to lose consciousness. I don't want to hear this from you guys anymore. Please, 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 quit crying and do something. Okay, the world is going to be better. The world is going to be a lot better, and I think it's going to get a lot better, a lot faster than a lot of people think. So just be optimistic and just get ready for it to be uncomfortable for a little while. And I don't think it's going to get that uncomfortable in the U.S. I think outside the U.S. is going to be really bad, and that's going to be tragic. And I think a lot of the efforts that Christians should actually be undertaking is preparing to readjust what foreign aid looks like so that we can actually have some positive effect on the world after everyone else loses their ability to feed themselves. It's a bright, sunshiny future. And it won't be if you are psychically saying, everything sucks, the future sucks, there's nothing we can do, I can't get a girlfriend, I can't get a job, then you know what's going to happen? The world is going to leave you by, and your subconscious is going to organize your life such that it sucks.
That's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it is a self-fulfilling
If you tell
prophecy.
yourself that you won't succeed, then you won't, because you won't be in the mental state to succeed when success is possible.
Yes, and all the people who want to succeed are going to go, that guy has got negative energy, makes me tired to be around him, I can't have that. And so they're going to kick you to the side, and they're going to go start businesses and build a new country.
They're going to build some
reindustrialize. Yeah, they're going to build some toasters. They are. They're going to build some toasters.
Dude, I'd be so proud to have
a company that built toasters.
Yeah, that never break.
Yeah.
And when they do, we sell the parts to fix them because there's screws on the side and it's not hermetically sealed.
Right. Yes.
You can't get it open without a chop saw.
Yeah, you're not going to create a reality-ending vacuum by opening this thing that's going to create a black hole.
You voided the warranty.
Yeah.
Now we won't replace it. Not that we would have before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we would have made you emails back and forth for 6 months before
until you gave up and it's only AI you're talking to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's good for.
Yeah, that's what it's good for.
Giving you the runaround.
Yeah. Guys, it's late. We've been going for a minute.
We're not too bad off, actually.
Okay,
we're
good.
at an hour 18, and we went 5 minutes plus before. So our runtime, we're really not that bad over.
Great. All right. I was getting self-conscious about that.
No.
But we'll wrap it up. We'll keep it tight here,
Just
guys.
a standard amount of overrun.
Just please calm down. Just calm down.
Keep your head on straight.
Yeah.
Focus on the future and not in a negative way.
Yes.
And by focus on the future, we mean do your work today and do what God tells you to do, which is to not worry about tomorrow. Yeah. Plan for it. Don't worry about it. Keep your head down. Work hard.
Yeah, work hard.
Be a Protestant.
What's the proverb? Don't say, I have these plans. Say, if God willing, we'll go into this city for such and such a year and trade this and trade that if the Lord wills it.
Yeah, if the Lord wills it.
If the Lord wills it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing to say.
Yeah. Well, that's what we say about hyper premium.
All the time to each other. Literally all the time.
Like, we have big plans for it, but it's if the Lord wills.
If the Lord
Obviously,
wills.
he can torpedo it real easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could see it going either way.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you for listening. We love you. Please find a wife, marry her, take her to church.
And have some babies.
Raise those children in the church. Their future, yes. Your 20s were ruined by COVID. Sorry. That was not great. Your kids, their 20s, it can be awesome. All right? You get to live vicariously through them. You get to watch them drive around and eat burgers and pursue each other.
The new McDonald's.
Yeah, it'll be great. All right? But listen, the future is very bright. Do not give up hope. If you give up hope, then we're done. So please don't give up hope. Everything's great. I think it's going to be awesome. That's it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.